What are hit points? What is a hit point? Where does hit points come from? Who is the hit point? Well, according to 2014's Player Handbook, the definition of a hit point is: hit points represent a combination of physical and mental durability, the will to live, and luck. But that definition is kinda shit, and I'm gonna tell you why. Hear me out here, hear me out. That definition makes sense, kinda, if you're playing a low fantasy setting. Like, back in the day, in the old age of 2nd edition AD&D, most people had fantasy in mind that looked like this.
Presidio Antonia, you killed my father. Prepare to die. Stop saying that! Yeah. Oh! Hello! My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die! No! Offer me money.
And if you want to roleplay fantasy like this one, you probably want to use HP like Will to Live and Luck. That's just fine for you. But I personally grew up with fantasy more like this. And having grew up with fantasy like this, I have a different idea of HP in my head, especially because of video games. And let me explain you what I mean. We already have armor class in Dungeons & Dragons to represent your quote-unquote luck. Armor class does represent like your dodging and your blocking. For example, if you have high dexterity, that's high armor class because you're able to duck and weave around attacks. If you're using a shield, that's high armor class because you can block attacks. So I already imagine armor class as blocking, dodging, and being luck in general. So HP for me personally should be what happens when you actually take the damage. And you can say like, you mean someone can get slashed by a sword 4 times and still be alive? And to that I answer, yes! Yes I think! And I'm tired of pretending I don't. And what do I mean by this? Let me be clear here. So, in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, be it 2014 or 2024, your cup of tea, a commoner, a regular person, will have an average of 4 hit points. That's a minimum of 1, maximum of 8. So that's an average of 8 hit points. That's how durable a regular person is. So a character with 60 hit points, with 50 hit points, it's not as durable as a regular person. This guy has superhuman durability. So when a paladin gets hit by an ancient black dragon, boom, that deals like 28 points of bludgeoning damage with a ranged attack. Like an attack as strong, like an attack so strong, it could destroy an entire house. It just boom, slammed the paladin onto the ground. And the paladin comes up with half of his hit points. For me, that's not him dodging the attack. That would be his armor class. If he takes the hit, that's half his hit points, and he's on the ground, what I imagine is him getting up from like a claw-shaped hole in the ground, bleeding out of his nose, going like, okay, now it's getting interesting. That's what I imagine hit points are, okay? And I think the 2024 handbook actually agrees with me. Let's look at the definition on that one. Okay, so Player's Handbook, page 27. Hit points represent durability and the will to live. Creatures with more hit points are more difficult to kill. I mean, it's not very specific, again, it is very ambiguous, but it does remove luck out of the equation. So it's just durability and will to live. So it's about taking those hits and keep fighting. And that's heroic. And I would say that's super heroic.
Say that again?
And here's what I want to show you guys. I've been working a lot on this. This is super heroic options for 5th edition. And if you're already role-playing hit points like super heroic durability, why don't I add some super heroic abilities for your characters and monsters? And I know what you're saying, You're ruining my Dungeons and Dragons! That's not medieval fantasy! And you're right. It's not exactly the most medieval fantasy. But I have an opinion that today Dungeons and Dragons is not just about medieval fantasy, it has outgrown it. It is a different type of fantasy. It is its own thing. Take a look, for example, at one of the more recent publications Wizard of the Coast has done. Recent. Yeah, not that recent. But take a look at this publication. This is Journeys at the Radiant Citadel. And if you ever open a page of this book, you're gonna see there's a bunch of fantasy here that is not medieval fantasy. This is published by Wizards of the Coast themselves. So I would argue that Dungeons & Dragons is now its own brand of fantasy, not just medieval fantasy. It is something else fantasy. It is heroic fantasy. So I think those options must have a place in Dungeons & Dragons. And when I built all of those options, I built them with traditional medieval fantasy in mind. So, for example, I have the College of Lights Bard. This is like a holographic-based subclass. It is themed after, this whole book is themed after Dispatch, which is a super cool game. You all should play Dispatch. Dispatch is awesome. This book takes a lot of inspiration from Dispatch, and this subclass specifically from this character, Prism, I think. Okay, this character, this subclass takes a lot of inspiration from that, and it is a bard that uses light to tell stories. It is a bard that uses light to cast magic. Instead of paintings or singing or dancing, they use light as their form of storytelling, as their form of art. And if you're playing like a modern fantasy, this could be like holographic, this could be like a light show or like a globe of lights or whatever. But if you're playing a classic medieval fantasy, this could be an illusionist wizard. This could be like a halfway through cleric using some divine magic to create light. This could be arcane magic creating light. This could be all sort of things. And I had it like a little section on the book that helps you tying in back to medieval fantasy. So all those options here tie back to medieval fantasy, every single one of them. I have a little box on the book, I call it Adapting for the Field, and it's gonna give you some ideas or for how you can bring those ideas into your medieval fantasy setting, into your regular D&D setting. But if you're playing Eberron, you can just take them as is. And if any of that sounds interesting and you want to bring more heroic fantasy into your games, you can check it out. This book is going to be available on DriveThruRPG and itch.io. You can find both links below. And you can also find a free version that I have in both websites. So please make sure to check it out. Take the free version with you. And if you want to play some heroic games with me, I'm DMing at StartPlaying Games, so you can check the links below in the description and join, grab a seat, and I'll see you at the table. Bye bye.